Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Sit out the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take your money. Bishop is absent this evening, so I think with myself and Mr. Bunty, we have minutes to approve, I believe. You must have it. Move on.
I make a motion to approve the June 17th, 2024 meeting of the Water and Sewer Commission.
Second.
As presented.
I second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes.
And I make a motion to approve the July 9th, 2024 Water and Sewer Commissioner meeting.
Second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Again, excellent job.
I didn't sign them. Yeah.
Okay. I actually read it really.
All right. Will be land development first. You need to go into that. They will not be joining us tonight. They're going to be moved to a future. Okay. Sarah, can you hear us? Did she need to go leave early? Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm all set. I can hear you though.
You good for now?
Okay, yeah.
I'm good all meeting.
I'll have you go first when they get to that remote. Can you turn the volume up on that television?
There you go.
Sounds good.
Right now. Sarah?
Testing. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We just gotta turn the volume up.
Yeah, turn that way.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, that's
All right, we'll go ahead and see what they, superintendent updates then.
Let's start off with demand letters. The department's going to be sending out demand letters as we have in the past. These letters are going to state that payment must be received by September 13th to avoid a $15 demand fee. Anything delinquent after September 13th will have a $15 demand fee added to their account, and it'll actually show up on their next set of bills due in October. Any outstanding amounts not paid by December 1st would have an additional $50 charge added to it, and a lien would be posted on the property due taxes. This year, it looks like we're going to be sending out 1,098 letters compared to 963 last year. And last year, actually, only out of that 963, only 282 actually went to leave. So the letters do make a difference. That's good. Hopefully, we'll see a similar turnaround with this bout that's going out. That's good. You guys may or may not have heard about the pipe failure we had on Walker Street back on July 27th.
We're at our last meeting, I think.
Maybe that's Saturday. So around 2 a.m., the after hours call responded to a direct call from the fire department for low pressure from a hydrant that they were connected to working a shed fire in the area. Upon arrival, verified that there was no pressure at that hydrant. While taking a ride around the neighborhood to connect to another hydrant and pull pressure, he actually discovered, a pipe failure exactly 1 street over from where they were working the fire. Our foreman actually lives in that same neighborhood. He also responded. They were able, based on the configuration of the water mains over there, they actually let the leak continue while they were working the fire, as not to change anything majorly in the area. They were able to isolate it after doing some work, cleaning out some of the valves, so that only one small section was actually affected. And they get it shut down once the fire was taken care of. Later that morning, 6 or 7 o'clock, we ended up getting a small group of the crew get together somewhere to be able to go down and make the repair. It was pretty evident from the type of break that we had that it was caused by hammer. Unfortunate incident that just happens sometimes when you're dealing with, fire flows and operations of that nature. It was literally 1 street directly straight line over. So whether it was a valve malfunction, something that happened, we actually picked up the a sizable, water hammer actually in the center of town at the elevated tank. So that's quite a distance away from the other side of town, and we had to pick it up there on the trend. So, thankfully, it wasn't anything worse than what I wanted. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's something we've responded to with, similar situations in the past. Nature of the beast, unfortunately, but, did anybody do anything wrong to do that? So it's just, I don't know how to really tell. We weren't there during the response. Hammer can be created multiple different times during the firefighting operation, simply opening the hydrant too fast, closing the hydrant too fast, even if the quarter turn valve on the end of the hose. You're blowing large volumes of water, even though it's a shed, it's still the same thing as the firefight going through a pumper. It happens, and it's unfortunate. I'm glad in this case, it wasn't worse than it was. But we have responded to similar calls in the past, so just the nature of it. Is this something you share with the fight? We've spoken numerous times about different possibilities, and again, he wasn't there on site. There were other members of the crew that were there. Spoke with them, and they really didn't indicate anything that seemed abnormal either way. So maybe it was just an anomaly, and they're probably not thinking about it that way. I think their focus is more on getting that water where it needs to be, get the fire out. But they understand the importance of it. I mean, those are the things. Yeah, exactly what I, made known again to them. And, very lucky in certain situations where it could have been worse. And we string it out, miles opposed to get to an area that's not having to be isolated. So, again, got lucky, and unfortunately, it was a shed that was a total loss, but, they saved the surrounding structures and were able to get the fire extinguished. So, all in all, the win in the long run. What do you think of piping? That is AC pipe, and of course, you can't handle the changes in pressure. You can handle the pressures that we operate at. It can handle normal operations, but when you start throwing water hammer out there and you start multiplying the flow rates and changing direction, it's not going to stay where it is. I'm going to jump over the Steve Stewart and maybe you guys might touch on that. I wasn't here for that meeting anyway. Go right into flow testing. We actually have quite a few smaller fire suppression tests that are lined up. Those are not usually typically impactful, but the information is posted on the town website. We have a larger flow event that's going to take place tomorrow morning. It's a fire hydrant flow test. These are impactful. The notice is posted on the town page for this. We'll probably send a reminder out tomorrow morning to residents that don't happen to frequent the computer or the town pages will be aware of it. This is actually going to take place the other corner of town, the intersection of Commerce Way and South Washington Street. And we plan actually to use this as we have in the past to our advantage. Commerce Way is actually a dead end road, so we're going to flush that completely when we're done and actually continue this with our quarterly flushing. We typically start in a similar location when we do our quarterly flushing to flush out the dead ends in the high water age area. So this is going to take it off a little earlier than we expected to in the month, but we'll run it right through and flush basically from one side of town to the other. As far as flushing, we're actually planning to do the seasonal flushing this year. We're going to make our best attempt to do a full town-wide flush as in years past. We've had to do modified versions. If all goes well and the water is available and the staff are available, we may start the last week of this month to get a jump on things, not knowing, if we're actually going to have a winter after actually having, some what seems like 4 seasons so far. We're going to do the majority of the flushing is going to be done at nighttime, focusing on the large veins, the large trunk line. If we have the staff and the water available, we are going to do some flushing during the day to speed up the process. More than likely, we'll probably be out there cleaning up areas that were disturbed from the night before anyway. But if we can work those in to the flushing program and systematically work from one side of town to the other, it's a benefit for everybody. So that notification will go out probably end of this week, probably before you're going, just to give a heads up, and then a better lock in on the time of the start time as well. Well, Hawkins protest, is that for proposed development? That is actually for two different reasons. So we have the development, of the building that's going to go in at 299 South Wash that was approved by us before the proposed plan. They want to verify that these have water mains that we're allowing them to modify and upgrade is large enough to supply their facility requires the money that's needed down there. So this is a requirement for that. And that's again, where they need to go as a starting point. That was part of the project from years earlier. Yeah, that was a project probably 20 something years ago that was never completed. The town, water department spent a large quantity of money installing pipes and stuff all the way into Taunton with the hopes of actually bringing that pipe down 495 and connecting into the Taunton Utah plant. And for unknown reasons, they didn't allow the town to continue with the construction on 495 as it has not that was gone. That pipe sits there unused, unfinished. It's not physically connected to our system. It's some work that has to be done by contractors to make that connection and bring it up to current standards. So far cheaper than having to install a pipe in that whole stretch to bring water down there. The distance that I don't know the distance off the top of my head, but it's not small. I'm thinking that the section of pipe in itself that needs to be installed is probably close to 200 to 250 feet. But the majority of it is, so it would be a benefit to everybody if that can be activated and put in use. Yeah. Are you still on?
I am.
Did you want to touch base about these houses with the construction meeting?
Yeah, I can give a summary on the pre-construction meeting, sure.
All right, well, that's all I got. All right, yeah, we'll go ahead and let you start there.
All right, great. So we had a pre-construction meeting on July 30th with members of the police department. Well, actually, fire department wasn't able to attend, and I wasn't able to attend either. But we did have also conservation, and then CC Construction, who was your low bidder and awarded the contract. Well, in short, the thought is that they're going to start towards the end of August and start working on East Hodges Street first. Once they complete that work, they'll probably take most of the fall to complete that. And then we have temporary bypass on South Worcester Street. So based on timing, we probably will not install any of that until next spring. And the intent would be to complete water main work on South Worcester Street roughly end of March, early April through the end of June to get the pipeline in, temporary trench done. And then the permanent pavement would occur within 90 days. But just want to wait 90 days minimum for this trench settlement on South Worcester for the permanent trench patch. And then the intent would be either in the fall or potentially in 2026 to do final paving with the highway department. So overall, we're just right now doing shop drawing submittals. We're waiting to get a schedule from them from CC Construction with more permanent dates. We'll start to send out notices to residents along East Hodges once we have an actual start date. Post on the website, make sure everybody's notified of upcoming work. Their intent is to provide a traffic detour plan with signage to shut down East Hodges for the duration of the work and have detours. Only open to local traffic. Obviously, folks that are living on that roadway would have access. And then, be able to, it's a pretty narrow roadway, as you guys know. It'll be a lot easier and faster for them to kind of get that done with closing down the street. And the police department seemed amenable to that. So we just need to make sure that they approve the plan. So in the next week or two, we're going to be moving relatively fast, hopefully. And that's about it. I think no major concerns. I think overall they seem ready to go. They're still selecting their structural lining subconsultant, I think, for the South Worcester area. Talked to them a little bit about that. We will be taking a look at their game plan for that. So good news is that they're going to start that next year. So we have a little bit of time to vet everything. But standard open cut excavation for East Hodges like we've done in the past. So no concerns on our end. I think that's pretty much it. with Southwest Street. Any questions or concerns?
No, okay. No. No, thank you.
Great. And then as far as anything else with the water work, we continue to work with Frank and John and Water Department on the Cottage Street aeration system. Intent is to submit that to Mass DEP shortly, and then once we get approval from them of the system, we'll be ready to go out to bid. And then we've also gone through a draft review of the water storage study with Frank and John. So those two projects are moving forward. And then we obviously started to talk a little bit about some modification to our game plan for PFAS alternatives. We're going to actually also take a look at what we can do with wells 1 and 2, potentially reactivate well 2, potentially increase the yield at well 1. We're just going to lump that all together in our study of PFAS and alternatives. Right. That'll be a good assessment for the overall water system and exactly how you want to handle your sources. And then from there, be able to better judge, what next steps you want to take as far as PFAS treatment as well. Right now, well 1 is testing below EPA levels. So that's all good news on that level. We want to just make sure that well 2 do some sampling over there and run a pumping test. We have to go through that approval with DEP first. So I want to just do a little bit of an investigation and study just to see what water quality you have over there. It's not too far away, but there are some concerns with proximity to roadway and not owning the entire zone 1. So just need to run that all by Mass DEP drinking water, groundwater group, through that a little bit, but put that into an overall study. So we're working on getting a quote for that from our in-house staff on groundwater and put that all together into a proposal for you guys hopefully in the next weeks. So you'll have it in time for the next meeting and week or so of advance review time. And I think on my end, that's pretty much a quick summary of the water projects.
Okay. So at my Elm Street meeting the other day, somebody came up who was one of the participants and talked about the recent postcard we got for one of the violations. And he said when he went online, he didn't remember where well number 3 was. So would it make sense to post on our website, unless we have it, the different, where the wells are and what numbers it is, so people can make reference to that? If people have a question, we can explain to them where it is. Yeah, they're not what the numbers out there. Locations of, yeah, exactly. Locations of strategic water sources. I told them all the water department. I said, every time anybody questions me, it's all the water department. Don't tell me. I'm not going to be around. Okay. And then Gizmo at the treatment plant for providing water. Is that still activated? It is active. There have been some issues. I guess you could say leaning more towards evangelism problems. So there have been times that people have showed up and have been off or out of service, unbeknownst to us. So abuse is probably handled too hard. Other issues that have come up have been that somebody is continuously filling drug holes and putting them inside the building, which is obviously bringing any animal traffic, which is trying to avoid and keep the place clean. Yeah. So numerous holes have been removed. They seem to continuously come back. That's definitely not what the station is pushing it for. So we're doing our best to keep up with it, and we thank the residents for calling if they see something like that out of the ordinary. But that's the reason why we actually had set hours, because we didn't want to leave it unattended during the night. Just knowing that if something did happen, it would be hours more than likely before somebody noticed, water running down the street or worse. But the residents who have actually gone there when we have somebody there, is there any feedback? Residents have been able to use it, and we've had some very positive feedback from doing something proactive. We explained to them that, even though well 3 is continuously putting out water that's below the MCL, but is still staying active, I would give somebody an opportunity to fill up. I have PFAS updates I was going to bring up during topics I anticipated, but I can get into that now. So All of our locations continue to test below the 25 to 30 MCL. We have seen shifts in the aquifer, similar to what we dealt with after the flooding with water quality changes. We're now seeing changes in PFAS sample results. So the sample results that we took at well 3 while it was offline indicated that the results were all below the MCL, significantly below 10, 11, where they had previously been before that quarter that we exceeded. Sample taken where the well was put online and active in June came in at 10.4, basically mimicking what we had seen. Results that were taken just in July, it's up to 15.8 at well 3, so we have seen some changes that took place after the floods, which we kind of anticipated. The biggest change we've seen in the aquifer is actually the PFAS sample results taken from the water treatment facility. But historically, we were seeing very low numbers, single digits. We took a 15. So it is a combined sample. I don't believe there was confirmatory samples taken yet from each individual well to see if that's combined. 4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, 6 with that. So seeing that major change and seeing that it almost mimics well 3 is showing that the entire aquifer there is seeing a change. Yeah. And oddly enough, well 1, which is in a different aquifer, actually came in with a 7.14, which is much higher than we see. So the flooding range that we saw, the elevated levels in the aquifer that still remain, we're definitely not back to where we were this time of year. This time last year, is all having an effect, not just water quality, but obviously other items like PFAS that in the aquifer that we have no control over. We're at the mercy of Mother Nature. We keep seeing flooding rains, and we could see these numbers go up. Or you could go completely the opposite way. You could see solutions in the aquifer by having more water to it. Really, there hasn't been anything that's been a definite line of reason. We're seeing that the people like to infect PFAS. The only takeaway from this, where the treatment facility has historically been at critically low levels, we were on reduced monitoring. Now that we've exceeded the 10 parts, we're going to go to monthly monitoring just like we do at well 3, and then we'll actually go to an average of 3 samples taken during that quarter for what you actually quarter we want to see. So, unfortunately, we do have to do some work, like the work next hour. We hope that we will see the PFAS level in the other aquifer well 1 remain low. But now, moving forward with our investigation for well 1 and well 2, it's going to require PFAS treatment as well. So, yeah. Our average daily flow, is it normal? I said normal in quotes. It is normal. It varies widely depending on the weather. We're at 1.5 to 1.9. It's a huge swing. And we're not out there patrolling, looking for people using irrigation systems. If we see something that, is blatant, we're not going to go and talk to the residents and stuff. But for the most part, it's been so wet, we haven't seen that many people out there, with these big water cannons, like we have in the past. So, constant steady use, which again is why we had to put all 3 back online to meet the seasonal demand. So. And when do we see that drop? In October, or it's been getting later and later each year because our wells aren't the same. Typically, you would normally see a change September into October, and now we've been seeing it run, all the way to November just because we still have, 15, 60 degree days. Yeah. So, I think I told John that we had a mystery at Red Mill Village the other day. We were missing a foot of water out of our swimming pool. I think somebody stole it. That's very possible. I did ask our sewer department to look into that. There was no anomaly. So. Well, that's the obvious thing since the pump station's right there. I really didn't think it went there, by the way. I really didn't think that was the case. But we also found no evidence of any leakage. Just a foot of our water was missing. That was wild. Yeah, it was strange. And if you think there's a pumper truck there overnight, you probably would have heard it. Yep. Yeah, they're not usually a quiet operation, because they don't have to turn over the fence to get it, not that that is, unfuelable, but we. Change the filter and put it on backwash and walk away or something. Yeah, it's kind of a lot slow before, I guess a simple thing to do, it could be an inside job. Yeah, it could be. I don't hope that. Rapid evacuation. You talk about well 2 and bringing that back online. Before the answer this better. Is that the fact that will be recommissioning one that was already there? Does that make it easier when it comes to government bureaucracy, or is it?
No.
No.
It's gonna be just like a new source approval process, pretty much.
Okay.
Which we've known all along, but the whether or not we just want to increase the yield at one.
So the only advantage is you have historical data on it, and that's pretty much it. No.
And honestly, it's been offline for 30 years, I think. So we don't really have any historical data.
Okay. So the only benefit we have now is that there's a pipe in the ground that we can put a pump in and see what we can get out of it. But no easement from the state at all. No, well, it's already well one, nothing like that at all. Okay. I didn't figure it was. No. All right then. Are you good?
I'm good if you guys are.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you. All right, moving on, please.
So let's start with Holly and Norwood. So since the last thing, everything was done, pay that number 6, then for 100% of the job, but we still held the 5% retainage, waiting on mowing and manuals and stuff like that. And so I don't see. So we told the contractor right to submit. So he submitted an invoice for the retainage, which is like 10 grand, and 10,393. And so that was drawn out all the money. So it's an ARPA job. I know James is kind of recently, but I've been keeping track of it. I have questions recently. I would like to close that up. So I just emailed this to you today, Frank. So we would recommend payment of this item. You guys typically vote for you to sign it. So I make a motion to approve payment requisition number 7 for Norwood and Calvary Road pump station improvement for I guess $10,393.75. So we have to job up. I second that motion. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Passes. Right. I didn't take it on the side down strength. I don't have to sign in front of that. No. I'm sorry, not that they need to vote on it. That's just the copy, so we have to give it in the file together every time. Understood. So Cobb Street, phase 2, since the last meeting, they had pretty much wrapped up before, and they just had some decommissioning the bypass and some cleanup at the site. So our understanding is everything is done now. We've been emailed back and forth. Everybody's happy with the site. So we reached out to them. I tried to get their invoice for today's meeting, but they didn't tell me. So they will be sending them on. The only thing, so there was the issue of the way they did the bypass and it would work once we knew what it entailed in terms of a change order. I don't know if they'll do one or not. We brought it up. Because we said, why don't you just send the final invoice and release the retainage and be done? And he's like, oh, we got to do a change order. And we said, let me look at it. So, was it? Yeah, it might be a little bit of money there. So he can prove it. But anyway, so we hope to wrap that one up. That one's not tied to ARPA or anything, but it's just nice to wrap that one up. So it's just about payment. The work is all done. It's just about them submitting the payments and complete the payments. I don't think there's any movement on peer reviews. Want to go down that rabbit hole? We don't have to. I haven't heard any more. Okay, on the ones in question.
just an update to the commission, so we've been working with the schools on the treatment plant at the middle school to get approval to bypass the treatment process and treat their current field like a Title V field. So we submitted everything to the Board of Health, waiting to hear back from him. And one of the conditions on that is it's temporary. So the health agent has been willing to work with the school so that they can get out of the groundwater discharge permit with the DEP and be under the Board of Health jurisdiction with it being a Title V discharge. But understanding that the more permanent solution is a connection to the sewer. So there will be follow-on about how and when they were going to really, continue to work with them to help them come up with that solution. I think it plays into a little bit that piece of West Main Street down near the middle school, which includes some of the properties that have been inquiring about sewer service. Valentine Tools been asking us to do. Have they reached out to you now? Not directly. There was the discussion at the meeting when they were at the meeting, and nothing more than that. No. Okay. No. Well, just I think that might a little bit go hand in hand with the solution down there for the schools. The whole thing would need to be something that dovetails with the whole for the town.
The pipe that was semi-flow to the middle school, that's the idea. Reverse that and send it to the sewer system, right? What's the status of that? Like when the sewer system was done, that capped off and it's just empty now, or what's?
So it was connected, so it was capped on the one side, and then it is connected into the gravity manhole.
So it is actually connected.
So you put it on so out by the housing authority where the pump station is, there's a manhole out in the street in front of it that goes down to the pump station. So we took that, the force main went right by it, and we had them put some bends on it and into the manhole. So there's nothing being pumped now,
so
but it is
it's
connected.
just a matter of starting.
So at the middle school, it's still connected on the other end to the treatment plant. It's just nothing.
We don't have to dig anything up on the other end to make it happen. Nice.
Well, the balancing act there will be it being a 4-inch. How much flow can it handle in addition to how much of that surrounding area catching up. So, and ultimately we may need about a bigger footprint in that area. But that's all fine to study. I mean, it can definitely handle the Salmonese school and the middle school. I'm pretty confident it can handle more. That flow is not a product. That's something that I think we'll get into as we continue back to school. When we're going to continue to lean on us to help them. And then come up with a more permanent deal will be a bit long put on. Yeah, I mean, we talked about 3 to 5 years. Hasn't been put right in yet. But, I know Christian is not, he doesn't want it to be an open-ended, except this we use the word temporary every year. We don't like the word temporary. So that's for that. I did, we finally got an update to the sewer map. I don't know that we want to get into the weeds on this today. I can look at any of it with you if you want, but I think, we tried to capture, we took all the record drawings that we had in terms of manhole, so it should have, not just where the sewers are, but also manhole and the pump stations. We also had data on some of the private systems, so we kind of color coded it. So your municipal system was kind of in red, and then blue is the Red Mill system and the 274 East Main and Wheaton's system. Since we had that information, don't know how accurate the manhole locations are, but they are plans. So I think maybe one of the more productive things would be that now you guys have this. I also emailed it to you as a PDF, so you can forward it if anybody wants to look at it. But it might be worth you guys taking a look at it And then maybe a team's call, we can share it on the screen and make some of the questions we have. Like again, not to go too far into the weeds, but like the pump station at Red Mill Village, is that still a private pump station? So that one, so you own so that's a municipal pump station and the force main is municipal, all the collection system in there is private?
There's one stretch that's weird.
Yeah, and again,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be perfect. Like I tend to try and, as engineers, we want everything to be perfect. You know, this is red, this is blue. But the most important thing is you need a map to show people where the municipal system is out in the streets. You know, so what's in there is not as critical for the rest of the town to know where all the pipes and who owns all the pipes and Red Mill. That's important for you and Red Mill. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. We should take a look at it and try and wrap that up. So that you have a better map. Again, and incorporate the more.
I think it's important to make sure that section of public and Red Mill is on that somewhere.
Yeah.
I guess if I have somebody will actually know that. But, you know, it's really weird. Now you have buses down Lewis here, so it's just that.
Important. All right.
So I have the old map, so I would like,
So it is a PDF. I don't know. Yeah, it's going to distribute it however you want. I don't mind, say, if you want me to send it to people. Send it to everybody. I don't understand.
I'm not ready, but it doesn't.
Yeah. So I mean, if we send it to all three commissioners at the same time and we created a meeting, I don't give up. You know, once we start a dialogue in an email chain. Yeah. Whatever you want to do it. All right. So down the street. So the biggest thing was, so Paul, Giuseppe is championing this. He's trying to keep it moving. So he set up a working group meeting. So both Steve and John were there, and then I was there with also Ryan and Anna from Weston and Sampson. For this group, said the committee, we've been talking about this for a long time, about getting at least somebody from each of the boards, right? The goal is to get the support of the boards so they can go in, show their support, select board and FinCom, and hopefully approve it, and then we're positioned to get the approval done. So we had Rick Jordan from the Board of Assessors, Steve Rashaw from the Economic Development Committee. He was probably the most vocal, I guess. He was there to get on the talk, and then he's also playing for it, right? Okay. But he was there as a representative of the economic development. The finance committee was Sandy Allerhead. The planning board was Laura Parker.
When was the meeting?
This was Wednesday, last Wednesday. Yeah, August 2nd.
It's probably on YouTube.
No, it wasn't. It's not a.
Oh, what an okay.
Just a working group. So yeah, I don't know how. So Kevin Snyder from the select board and Steve Bernstein from the water association.
And town manager was there briefly.
And then yeah, so those are the people in the working group, and then the town manager was there. Another person from the assessor's office, right? From the assessor's office was also there. And there were other people, I mean, Paul had reached out to other department heads, Board of Health, Fire Chief, and some other people. I don't think anybody else was there. So, the meeting was productive, and Steve, you can chime in whatever, but I can give an overview of how it went. So, in a nutshell, what continues to come out is the same things we were hearing at previous meetings. The stumbling block for everybody is the requirement of pilot. That whole requirement. They can't get their head around it. I think they feel, probably not wrong, that it would be a slam dunk without that. That was holding them up from supporting. So, we had a lot of discussion about that. They still need to go back to their boards. It's obviously an important discussion for this group. Because that's, I continue to explain why there's a requirement. You know, it's not arbitrary. You know, there's a reason. I don't know if we can run the math at any level of detail about how it affects them. You know, I don't think the Elm Street project, in my opinion, one of them are, I don't think that Elm Street project moves the needle a lot in that respect by not requiring you at the time. And I think we discussed that. But actually, if the 47 Elm gets built the way it's proposed, then that would be a windfall for the users. Right. Now, that would be a lot of, well, that would be a lot of people to contribute to the user rate. You know, I think, you know, like going in, I feel like the issues that have been holding us back, and so Paul did the presentation, he did a great job, you know, and he focused more on the economic part of the information that he has, so it took it a little bit away from, you know, my discussion, or our discussion that's more focused on the sewer and the governments and everything. So the things that have been hot topics in all the other meetings with the board, you know, one is, you know, what if Devco doesn't, what if nobody ever built anything? And Paul was adamant that they needed to move off of it. He's like, we need to decide that this is worth doing. And we're not going to get, it's like a game of chicken, you know, who's going to give first? You know, Devco's waiting for us to say we're going to build the sewer. We're waiting for Devco to say that they'll definitely come if we build the sewer. You know, you might still get more from them. He's continuing to work with them. But, you know, his point to the group was that shouldn't, they need to decide whether this is worth building in terms of the future of that property, whether it's Devco or somebody else. Because Devco's not the only one working there. And it's everyone he's ever talked to has told him that sewer is important. Having the sewer makes that project for that. And he made his, you know, big presentation about, you know, the lack of properties like that left. There's not a lot of opportunity left to get the balance in the district. So, the perceived fairness of the betterment assessments, I feel like everybody's coming on board that they get, you know, that those cover the capital cost of the project. And then whoever is better, I'm not going to say everybody's on board, but the group understands it. They didn't feel like at the last residents meeting was really the last hang up with them. They had full to pay betterment, but they got it. Most people.
There were some people
It's,
so I thought,
yeah, but it's still a requirement to tie. Still that, you know, why I have to tie in is fine. If I replaced it recently or whatever. I think we're good with the betterment thing. I think it comes down to that perceived fairness of requiring homeowners to tie into the sewer system. You know, one of my other things has been a lack of trust in the projected cost of the project. And I've mentioned it, and I continue to think that we should bid this job in advance, you know, a couple of weeks before the town vote, and have a real number. Yeah. So for a contingency, this thing can change during construction, but if we have the actual bid numbers, we'll know where we're at, our estimate, and what we need to do with that. And that happens if it doesn't get the support when you have a bid. You know, so we have 30 days. We can put 60, we can say whatever we want. Typically we say, you know, the contractor's bid is good for 30 days. We can write 60 days into it. And have, typically we do 30 days, and if it's not going to be ready, you just send a letter and the contractor will extend it if they want the job. So that's not a big deal. Yeah, so you would lose the cost incurred for the bid, right? Which, you know, they're not insignificant in comparison to the cost that have been spent, but it's, you know, $5 to $7 grand probably to get a job through the process. Just with everything that goes into it.
So when it comes to people being happy to tie in 7 years, the only way that we could put a sewer line in and have that not be the case is if it's a dedicated one just to read log and some kind of force main that they can't tie into, right?
Right, if we didn't, yeah, then we wouldn't better anybody, so nobody would
Yeah,
better anybody,
anybody,
nobody
you know.
would have a sewer to tie
Yeah,
in.
yeah, and then if they wanted to eventually, too bad, so sad, they
There's
can't,
no
because
sewer.
there's a civil thing.
Right, but what the working group decided they thought was the best course of action was to propose a change to the bylaw that requires them to tie in.
Well, the one that just changed, oh,
Yeah.
Which is a town.
So they had talked about making it based on septic age, if it's this long, you get this long, if it's this long, you get this long. And Steve Warshaw said, if you want to get sewage fast in town, the easiest way is to get rid of that connection requirement, which he's not wrong. No, of course, it's more like, but
Are there any towns that don't have a connection requirement, that do have municipal sewer? Yeah.
it's more common to have some kind of requirement. It's more common to require to tie in, because that's why you're building.
And 7 years is normal, the normal thing, by the way.
And like Steven said, whereas this project's a little different, where you got the potential of a large customer base getting put in that kind of right away is giving you
Right,
that.
the thorough septic systems are not driving the bump here.
Right,
That's the problem.
but as I brought up in the meeting, as you expand down West Main Street, you don't have these types of projects. And if you were to change that bylaw, you have all those homes on West Main Street that still haven't tied in, because as I pointed out in the meeting, people don't tie in until they have to. Like they brought up, oh, well, most people will tie in between 10 and 20 years. And I said, most people only care if their soil flushes. They don't care what their septic system's like unless, there's a complaint about it, So, there's two sides to that too. If you change if the bylaw gets changed, and again, it's a tough bylaw. This commission either supports it or you don't, right? It's not, if that's what these boards are saying they want to put forth, and then they'll support the sewer part of it. I don't know
Well, how could that happen in one town meeting? You would have to do the bylaw.
Well,
change,
yeah,
go through that whole process, right?
So yeah, it's 2 articles, and you would have to do the bylaw change first.
And they would both have to pass, obviously, but
You wouldn't, and again, this isn't bad, this is just where we're at now, and they were going back to their boards. And a point I had also brought up is that, the Elm Street residents see getting rid of that connection as a concession or a middle ground, something to work with. If that connection requirement is gone, the next sewer project that comes up, well, I don't want to pay a betterment fee either.
oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So,
It would set
it's,
Well, no, but they're not waiving the betterment fee, but.
right, no, they just got rid of. You give us
one
this,
fee,
now we want to get rid of that fee,
Yeah.
now you don't have to fight for the connection to the league. Yeah, that's just human nature. I think, yeah,
Until your septic system fails.
yeah, but how many people test their septic system, right? So, one thought is, so they bantered around what John was saying about, okay, what if we, so you leave the 7 years, but then if somebody has put in a system, they have, how long is the system good for? If they can prove the age of their system, if the system's supposed to be good for 20 or 30 years, they have 20 years from when they put their system in. So somebody and it's going to get, so this is how these things go, right? Everybody throwing stuff in.
Assessment's still good. And
So they didn't ask the civil engineer about the life of the septic system. I think a member of the assessor's office answered the question about how long the septic system is good for. It was kind of funny, actually.
Yeah.
And that's what the life of the
Which,
yeah, do
yeah. So another thought, and then this, Steve Warshaw just kept coming back. He's just complicated. Like he was just on that horse of, he feels like these things keep getting debated and sewers keep getting shot down because of this. I know there've been several votes and there's been a lot of battle, but I don't know that anything's actually been shot down because of it, but it's made the votes harder. But, another fact that I didn't bring up that night, but came to me later is when you get to the time frame, when you have leave it the way it is or create some time frame and then give people the ability to hire somebody to prove that their system to pass a title trial. And if it passes, so basically until failure, but you have to prove that it hasn't, that it is still functioning. Again, it's just another layer that probably complicates it. Mention that in front of Christian and he'll be like, oh, I don't want to be dealing with that. She'll have a thought, all right? The real issue is you need, right? You need the people to come in, if we're going to build this infrastructure out, we need all these resources. I feel like
millions of dollars and that's generating revenue from it.
as it stands, I don't know how else to fight this battle with the people that we're trying to get the support. So, yeah, it might be a hill we die on. I would say, and the project doesn't go forward. Yeah,
Push as many facts as was possible.
and we're supposed to reconvene. The select board, the representative of the select board was going to touch on it with his group on Thursday.
Just touch point.
We're not ready to vote on it. The things
Did they get the understanding of the $3.5 million grant that's gonna go away?
they get all that. Oh, they're all on board that we should do this. It would be crazy to.
The hang up is one to put them. Essentially, that's what we can have.
I'm not even sure they all feel that that's a wrong thing, the connection requirement. But they feel that in order to get it past the town meeting, that's gonna need to be when it's on.
Frank, you must have an opinion, even though I know that Sir John came back and shared this with you. Yeah, I've heard bits and pieces about it. I don't see how an enterprise can expend money on major projects without some comfort of knowing you're going to see a return on your investment within a certain determined amount of time. We use that to project our budget for the future and plan projects down the road as our anticipated revenue. You also mentioned securing funding. Right, I didn't bring up. I mean, when you have to go out for borrowing and you're looking to borrow millions and millions of dollars, they want to know if they're going to be able to pay. But you're going to get the betterment, which pays the capital cost. Yeah, but you're still going to get the operational cost. Still need the operational cost.
The operational cost is the hang up here, and
I would think if we don't, it seems like based on the conversation we had the other night, if we continue going with our way we're going to mill the project will not pass the company. That's the impression I got.
so it will not get the support of these committees, at least the select board and the FinCom.
And there is potential of a special convention can be made for this project because it is targeted. There's a reason why this project is an economic development thing. So we're going to go, it's a benefit for the town, and the town has yet to provide us anything that they're interested in actually supporting. The town could take a percentage of the tax revenue that's going to be generated from this building when it's sold and appropriate that for paying down some of the debt. Well, Paul explained about tax revenue and how it's basically the project that they had put back in for 3, 4, 5 years. He did an excellent job. Wonderful presentation. Really, but again, the hang up, and Steve from the planning board, this guy was really dominant in the conversation. He was very vocal about his opinion. And again, when that's disagree, I mean, he was kind of like setting the tone. They had this thing that somebody said that the town of Mills has this two-word connection ordinance, which is variable over time or something. It seems to me much too complicated. But that's why you don't know what the age of anybody's septic system is. I don't know how you can make that determination.
And two, doing a test on it, that might tell you if it's working that day, but that doesn't tell you the indication of what's left on the life of it, right?
That's correct. This would be a pass-fail test only.
And it's EV required, been trying to come up with all these, yeah, the Mills Fund was the whole thing about if they put in a new system within a certain time, then you get that much longer. And based on the anticipated life of the system, if you put it in 5 years ago, you get an extra 15 years before you have to.
But then if a paperwork nightmare is actually managed it in reality.
And then, you know, if, well, I feel like, Frank said, like, with this project being kind of a horse of a different color,
Absolutely.
but the problem is that if it was to get waived for this project, you have some very upset people, very vocal people on like Main Street. So, and if it's still a town bylaw, all it takes is them to propose that at town meeting and say, we did it for this, there's no reason you can't do it for us. And, you know, there's a lot of sympathetic, not saying good or bad, but sympathetic ears on these boards, and they'll side with those people. So,
And if you do waive it, and you put it in the reading part of the contract, whatever falls through, and that property lies dormant for 15, 20 years.
well, that
That
property,
sewer line that you're paying for, that you're not using.
that property would get assessed by the town.
No.
But, you know, like I said in this meeting, I said, well, what happens when we want to put sewer down West Main Street and those two parcels that are left, there's, oh yeah, we want to, now that there's sewer going down here, we want to do this big project, and then there's an economic downturn. And now you're waiting for all these residential homes that connect to the sewer line, you know, that now have no requirement to do so. So they finally,
And like you said,
they don't want to do it to begin with, and now you have hardly any flow in the pipe. You know, it's just as Steve said, there are reasons that towns have required it, but like he also said, all the board can do is recommend or not recommend. You know,
I wonder if the change in the requirement of number of years would be different than getting rid of it in people's eyes. Like, you added 3 more years to it, you think that was like, okay, 10 years. Or you think people are just a hard no on the requirement. As far as getting this.
It's all right, right? So it's about the boards, right? It could still pass. The boards could turn it down and it could still pass. It's just not.
Yeah, but if they're qualified, then
they still don't get it. You know, so we have one representative from, I shouldn't say they still don't get it, but I just need to get, we need to get the message to them. I'm sure, I mean, we're gonna need to meet with them again, because it's gotta be an hour, right?
Yeah. So I'm sure that what can be conveyed, if anything, to the finance committee is the fact about waiving the time connection. I'm not going through all the details it's going to be conveyed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about everything all night, but at the end of the last 20 minutes of discussion was waiving the.
It was, the determination was that was really that it's going to be waived or another modification of the bylaw to give people a little more time or give them, you know, certain scenarios. Nothing's agreed to. And so,
But that's
with the bylaw,
that's planted in your brain right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that fluid in your head you can't get out of there, I think. So we have to decide whether or not we want to support such a thing. If we can maintain the status quo, we're back to release the package. And then grants in the future are dead. Going to be a long time till we can get another one.
And not just that, but you also have the same issue on the next sewer project you proposed without a $3.5 million grant to help it along. It's also like, I feel like the fact that you can get a low interest loan to go on your taxes to help pay for your sewer connection is just like being totally ignored. Like, I feel like that's
Yeah, I mean, we presented that, and they're like, well, it's still due within 7 years. I'm like, no, the connection's due within 7 years.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can put it off paying nothing
What it
for
is.
7 years, and then you can and have it done and pay it over, I think, it's 20 years.
20 years
15 years.
betterment.
Yeah, so 15 years for this time. This guy. So
That's what I did when I took up in Ringo. So we wanted to do it. And we knew it was 7 years. And it wasn't negotiable. Because we knew it was going in. We all put in our tax bill, but they were all going in. I'm sure there were people not happy about it, but I wasn't in it.
So with the bylaw incentive clear, and we've been told that nobody's enforced. So but it's still on paper. It's on paper, and most people. It's enforceable. It's enforceable. I guess I don't know.
You can't say that's not enforced. I mean, if you said that the new guy comes in and says, okay, I'm going to make it really do it. Because
Yeah.
it is important.
Yeah, you can't use. I think so. It shouldn't be saying that two people and what makes it different from having.
So we're planning on having another meeting. With the school. Yeah, not so sure when. Probably September would be next year.
How many usually in October?
I think they're saying it's one night. I thought it'd be there, but maybe it is.
Yeah, do we know yet? So I did put.
Do you know what you said earlier with the schedule?
Yeah.
That was the big. That's on 24th, maybe? That we had there?
Well, I estimate.
Yes. That is,
I think it's usually end of October.
I remember that.
So I put a bid schedule together in terms of trying to meet that deadline. So assuming on town meeting on Monday, October 21st, I think we want to open bids on Thursday, October 3rd. So 2.5 weeks ahead of that, and that gives time to then have some kind of meeting to explain what this means now that we have the prices in hand, and then be ready for the town meeting. So if we're going to open bids on October 3rd, it backs up to appearing in the Central Register September 4th, which means we submit the ad 29 of us, and 2.5 weeks.
Articles for town meeting to do by the end of this month. I think we should put that in, so we're going to do it. That's not fall into it time. Well, there's
The article was already written.
there's a new email. There's a new email having to do with that was just sent out to everybody. No. From Paul. Laura Parker.
So she was the one that was going to put the no action over it.
Paul something on another day, he responded to it. August 9th, and then she just responded to it again. Yeah. Pretty much, okay. Just more, I think it's follow up and with the August, you know.
This is the whole, she's thinking the connection fee is paid to the town. She's thinking they pay betterment and then. Yeah, it was about the 10%. So what you're talking about there? There's an email that I have to respond to, so connection timing and stuff, and she had an idea that if you're not in the industry, I can understand it's not a bad idea, but it doesn't work.
So, if the average, well, I don't know what we're going to do. That's number one. And whether or not a follow-up meeting, whether or not it would make sense to have more than one commissioner there. So we can, whether or not we post a meeting or not, just so that we're more inclusive in the discussion.
You have to go, it's not scheduled, right?
No, nothing's scheduled. It would be nice to get more people from the finance committee there and more select people there. Because they were so, trouble was funny because how come you guys just do the motion? And we read the motion.
Well, no, yeah, that's that. So the FinCom was the representative from the FinCom, who voted that the FinCom was upset that they had to vote and then we didn't make the select board vote. If they want the select board to vote first. That was a whole different discussion.
On whether they approve the article, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about.
Can we run some numbers and we can show them how the user rates work right now and what, and show them, you know, by adding this, is we add a pump station and it's sort of a pump station, right? The gravity sewer isn't gonna add somebody's T or operational pump station with another pump station.
And it doesn't really flow, I guess you're not paying electricity, but still needs to have controls and whatever, I leave the lights on. And plus, it has to be checked periodically just for the fun of it.
I don't think the number that we come up with is gonna be significant enough to sway their opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still, you know, the choice is to continue to just push back on that and there's a reason to do it. And
Right. Well, again, that's important. Right, that's, yeah, they're under no obligation to listen to this board's recommendation, you know.
but they do. I mean, you're right. So when it went from 2 to 5 and then 5 to 7, most people was a 5 to 7 and the, I mean, it was clear that this board didn't support it. So it went through and, you know, I think, so there's that, there's the whole issue of, it's bad for the enterprise fund, it's just, it makes it unpredictable on, you know, how the user rates are gonna support the system, not how we use it, so I get that. And then there's just the three-ring circus that these things always turn into, so you propose it, and then, like, are all the Plain Street people tied in now? Or did that extra 2 years mean that they're still waiting for their deadline and they're not gonna get up in line and dispute it because they still haven't tied in and therefore it's not, right. It helps them. Mm-hmm. And the same with the West Main Street, because there's two sides to that, John, I was trying to say that if 80% of them have already tied in, are they gonna come out with their pitchforks and say, you may be tied in? Whereas if only 20% of them tied in, the other people will support it, and then just take that off of their point.
There's been very,
That's just about support. That doesn't take into.
Do we have those numbers of statistics on how many people actually tied into all these new tools?
yeah,
Is there a number somewhere?
I mean, we can get it, it's very low.
Main Street was a little.
Residents,
Main Street was all right.
residences have not tied in on that street. It's been very.
But we got that commercial, huh?
Years left.
That commercial, huh?
Yeah, some more commercial than.
Bog Iron had, you know, and
Yeah,
Cumberland Farms,
daycare, Cumberland Farm, CVS.
Yeah, nobody should get the commercial, I don't care what residential.
but that's the, so the future, so this sewer project is not about, again, to go back to, it's so much easier to sell when it's everybody's system there. Yeah, they need it. So these people don't feel like they, there are 4 or 5 that are playing right. the apartments will tie in, that's 6 bedrooms, and that's 6 connections. The bedrooms don't have, they all pay better than. And there are 2 other systems that are in failure. But, and then a few people will feel like it's better than it is, maybe, but most of them won't.
Or if they sell their property, they're gonna do it.
So it would still be a requirement. So at the time of the sale of the property, it should be a requirement. I don't think that should be
You don't
subject
require
to.
the septic would fail.
So do they have to
Right.
pass? There's another layer that I don't want to get into, right?
What's our current policy? So they have to.
So the policy is, so there's the policy that you now have for the privately extended sewers. That if somebody is extended a stub on a sewer that wasn't built by the town, they don't have to tie in until they sell their property. If their system fails, or if they sell their property, don't when they sell it, they
Well, I
have
didn't know that was a
or it
stipulation.
might be given another house. Or so when you sell it, you have to get a federal five inspection.
Right, you have to get that inspection. If at that time it fails, then it would fall under its failed. But I don't remember seeing anything else.
I feel like it's sale. That's always the case.
I thought it was saying, people pretending to expand and put out in more apartments, stuff like that.
You can't replace your septic system.
Right. Which means you couldn't.
And you can't expand.
Right.
Anyway,
The language is gonna get very involved.
getting,
Well, if people can get, it sounds like they can get past the betterment. I understand that a little better, and this requirement to tie in is a deal breaker for them. I don't think I would be supportive of getting rid of the requirement completely. If the concession to get this done is to massage that article a little bit to give them more time or some kind of weighted system or whatever, maybe, but to do away with it entirely and just say, nope, you don't ever have to connect, that's that. I can just picture putting the sewer line in, nobody connects, reading Barton South, and the sewer line sitting there. With no sewer line to it. Okay, that's only the sewer. It's like the worst case scenario is worse, bad, and the best case is good,
Yeah.
So while I might be open to, like I said, massaging that article a little bit, I don't think we should go much further than it is. And I don't think we should get rid of it entirely. We definitely shouldn't.
Well, the only other thing is do the Millis option modified, something like if you built the septic system over the last 5 years, and you can prove it. You have another 10 years. And if you haven't done it, then you have to comply with them.
I'm working with the Board of Health if you replace.
I mean, boy, I think on those records, it was not those records that was done the last 5 years. If it was done 15 years ago, they may not have those accurate records.
Then you can't do it. They have to have records. I mean, that might be the.
And the Millis thing, I can find it online, but I'm not even sure what the person is talking about. I looked quickly, I never followed up on it. But it sounds very labor intensive from the Board of Health perspective. And manage that. Unless you have a good computer program, which is kind of like it,
I mean, in the end, it comes down to costing money. And then maybe they need another person on staff now.
Well, I was just gonna say, the last thing we're gonna do is have more stuff doing it, so I'm sure he already has his hands full with the middle and everything. So, it sounds simple.
I mean, you made a comment earlier too. I think it makes sense is that this might be a hill that we die on. I don't think we should concede so much just to get the sewer in the road. We've conceded so much that it's going to hurt us down the road.
I think having a connection,
No deal is better than bad.
a connection requirement of some sort, like say it was even 15 feet, just for the sake of argument.
Okay.
You still have all these residents that know that a requirement is looming, and they may be more likely to tie in, knowing they have to tie in, than never having to tie in.
Yeah.
Even if it's like
repair to my septic at a couple $1,000, what was it worth it me spending the extra $6 and having my sewer tied in?
Whereas if it's 7 years and it's been 5, now they're under the gun, and like, they're taking a term, like, yeah, that makes sense.
I think this, maybe the best approach is for this commission to decide what they, if anything, what they're willing to do. Is there a proposal where, I don't know, I'm talking about it, I think they're my idea. Say it goes to 10 years, and then if somebody can show that they've replaced their system, you have 20 years from the date you replaced the system, whenever that was. Who's made it out of that? And then you got the whole perception of why do we keep going, why does this keep changing? That's frustrating.
It's like, gonna change it to.
Instead of dying on the hill, I'm trying to come up with a compromise that works and doesn't kill the project. So we turned around the way
because they had failed septic systems, or they would fail, and something like that. Yeah, critically. And did everybody connect to the sewers around the way? Because that was new today.
And that wasn't 7 years, that had been, 2 years, we look at it 2 years, okay, so it still fell under whatever.
Well, it was environmental, they all their systems, I would have to give it a project.
Would be based on need.
So Main Street is more an economic, right? So there's the residents, so the 2 areas that are highest needs areas, you're getting everybody around the reservoir sewage, which is water quality issue. And then everybody in the main commercial belt, which is more of an economic issue. There's small lots, there's not a lot you can do commercial out there. You can't have, you can't put in a bunch of treatment plants and have, on-site systems that handle a lot of flow. So I think it's more, I think the whole West Main Street piece is more economically driven to make the commercial district more viable. That's what makes it expensive.
What is the ballpark cost on doing the federal project? That's one separate.
Probably getting it tested,
Get it up. To prove that it's, functioning.
probably 3 to 5 cents. That's
Really, that much is too.
That's too expensive. Yeah, I guess a small, a small local operation without the overhead can probably do it.
I don't think it's that much money.
But what I was getting at is, could we impose something where there's still a time limit to tie in, but with a caveat of once you get that limit, you cannot tie in as long as you annually prove that you're good. And now they have to do a test every year, and that eventually fails. That's just putting all that workload on the Board of Health. We have to verify that. And if it's that much, I was thinking this was a few $100, and that much money to do the test. That much every year, people probably wouldn't want to do that. So we'll definitely be incentive to go ahead and tie in.
So there's a lot of variables in doing federal projects only because, if you might have to bring it back on something. If you take it to the tank.
I guess I don't know what's really involved in what we do that.
Someday I'll tell you a funny story, but now.
I think we did very come with a proposal, and if you're looking at, if it's project specific, and it doesn't change anything on the town bylaw, it's going to be easier. You may not get all the board support, but if we explain it and say, look, this project is driven for growth. It's not a new project. We're being brought in because this is what that project has to have in order to be buildable. That lot right now is not buildable. If the town is looking to generate any type of revenue from it, significant revenue, and go with what we're going to propose, other than just a couple of residential houses over there, the only way the town's going to get anything from it
is by operating utilities down. There's not somebody trying to come in and be willing to do that and spend the amount of money on that property.
Yeah, there's already concerns doing that goes beyond the regular plot of land, environmental, there's already.
So, I mean, I don't know if it's a special thing that can be written up just for the particular group because it's affected by this one project. Yeah, and are you helping Street and Plain Street and all those other people out of it?
I think
So that's our concession? What do you think?
I think Mike ever got an answer from
I mean,
that.
that's the legal counsel.
Yeah, they haven't responded.
Whether it has not been done in the past with other communities, I mean, I think legal would know.
Do you think of like waive the bylaw for this one because of that need?
This check would guide anything, that's the enterprise fund, you're checking on wording and whether or not that's legal. I don't know nothing about that.
The thing, my worry about it is waiting it anyway. For this project is next time meeting, all the West Main Street people saying, I want to change for me too.
So, we'll tackle that in the future.
You're
But the
arguing.
whole point of this working group is to not have to tax it. That's the point of the work. Is to, that was what we originally said to Paul would be accepting. This can't be the battle we have every time.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's the whole point of this. Like, yes, we want this project approved. But the town wants this project approved, but the point is to come up with something that works. That the board supports. Which seems like not all the boards are gonna support the same thing. So.
It is pretty different from all the other ones in that it's not really a need, it's a want. All the other ones we need.
And I also brought out, this is a want, the fact that, you know, they were talking about the tax revenue, and I said, well, that's where you get into the enterprise versus general fund. Like, I said, I don't need to sound callous, but the water department doesn't care about the tax revenue that the project is gonna generate, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we want their water and sewer, you know, fees, but, not fees, but consumption, but. No, no. There's no resolution that's gonna make every person happy, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, no, there isn't, you're right, it's always a balancing act as best you can.
Frank, you'll need to meet at the next meeting. And, we'll encourage Paul to get another meeting set up. And just take a little bit more about it.
It's also unfortunate that all this discussion really happened after, like, he gets gone. Because I feel like having him there was helped too. So it's kind of just a hard enough turn to that big meeting here. Yeah.
When are we looking at for that next meeting? Like, I mean,
And it's special.
I imagine that's happening fairly soon.
We didn't write a date. It involved more than the people who actually do it. Yeah, people found out. Yeah, both, Kevin and, Mike got through. They came late, Mike got through. Fortunately.
Okay, but for now, and we'll see if we can get this. No,
Yeah, and
and again,
whenever that's scheduled, we want to post that, for both of us to go, we call it more soon, I know about that.
okay. Right,
I imagine there's a boilerplate contract with them.
document?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have the specs pretty much done too, I didn't bring them. So, yeah, I brought us over the plan, I'm gonna leave those here.
This is on street.
This is the contract, yeah. Because if we're gonna do this bidding it before the town meeting, again, in 2.5 weeks, we're gonna submit to the central register and it's gonna appear at the beginning of September. So if that's the route we're going,
So we voted not to submit this to town council, correct? For review, right? Or is that something else we did? No, that was Hodge Street.
yeah,
That was good. So this is, as far as I can tell, I mean, anything you, well,
I have not seen that.
okay.
I'm just bringing these in now and I haven't sent the finance. I mean, the plan stuff is the same as it's always been on all of these contracts.
With the language in the posting clearly states that it's contingent on having the approval, or how do you let the people bidding know that it's not a firm job?
You can, yeah, there is, we can put that line.
Do you think that's going to affect the amount of bidding for the project? Is this
I don't think
common
so.
practice?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yeah, I think we'll still get.
So we can have bids, accept the bid officially contingent on being voted on. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, anytime you open bids, you're not obligated for one.
okay.
You don't have to award them. You can always throw out all the bids and, I mean, anybody can protest that. That's always your right out there. Or people will protest if you try and bypass the low bidder for some reason, but.
So they'll be the 30 days or 60 days or whatever, and town meeting will be within that.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not a problem that we ask for, it's a low, apparently, I did it to the standard thing, for 30 days.
Yeah.
Standard that way, 30 days.
Fine, then. So,
Okay, bid those, that's an update.
Sure.
That's an update. Keep going, keep stuff happening fast. 2 weeks.
all right, we good then?
Yes. Save the best time.
All right, then, moving on, do we have anything else? Anybody?
You have something else? No, I touched on that sometime, I have a tentative meeting with, the deputy, whatever, Jake, I can't say his last name, state rep. I had a meeting with him on Thursday.
Good, nice.
I wrote to them after the newsletter about the treatment plan for PFAS. Remember you stated, and Barra had mentioned that process is not applicable to our water supply. So I kind of wrote it and kind of like saying, like, I'd like to meet to talk about it, but I don't know if I don't have enough information of the fact that I'm just curious, so I'm actually doing that on Thursday. I'd like to know how it goes.
You meet him in his office in Elmore?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, somebody, so. I don't know what we're asking. Right now, we have a grant that Steve is responsible for. Is that for occupancy? No, for right, okay, so I'll think of, are we looking for anything more from you? That's what you can do. Well, I'll try not to, I'll try to be tax responsible.
I don't have a calendar on me. Anybody have any idea what our next meeting date will be?
I can tell you. It'll be the 10th. Yep, September 10th.
Awesome.
We're all ready for adjournment?
We are ready for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second that motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. Thank you, everybody.